Welcome back, everybody. Today at the Dr. BeeWell studio, we have an extra special guest for everybody. This guy is truly fucking awesome. He's definitely the most badass motherfucker who's been in this studio. He served our country for 6 years in the Air Force as a combat controller. He then took his talents to professionally fighting with MMA. He's known as the controller. He's been 6-1 professionally. Yes, absolutely 6-1 professionally. He just won his last fight. Dana White's contender. Dana White's looking for a fight.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. He was also on Dana White's Contender Series.
Yep.
That's a giddy up. This man, he's unbelievable. He has a lot, unbelievable, perspective on being well and doing it in a different way than maybe the way that I've been living. I'm so excited to get into it today. Today, my guest is Connor Matthews.
What's going on, man? How you doing? Thank you for having me here. And I was just saying, we were talking about this earlier. This is the nicest podcast studio I've been in yet. So it's pretty cool. I like it.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. We really appreciate it. The guys here over at Rebel House, we've been building this thing out for a while and trying to make it as professional as possible so we can have, guests like you on who will come in here and say, oh, damn, this is what we're trying to do, something real, trying to build something. And we really appreciate that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I like it. You guys got quite a few in here, huh? Quite a few different studios. It's pretty sick, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool, pretty sweet place. And, it's set up into a little ad for Rebel House. But this is where we record our podcast, is this awesome space. It's actually in the Fox Run Mall, which is, kind of wild to think about, but over in Newington, New Hampshire. It's for all creatives to come. There's podcast studios. There's there's a place where you can take photos, videos, we just threw a 150 person event here. It was to launch the podcast. That was great. So you can do tons of stuff here. So get on over, check out Rebel House if you guys are, it's been endorsed by Connor Matthews.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giddy up. So yeah, man, I really just appreciate you coming on the show today, making the time to come up, after some training.
Yep.
I love the shorts you have on. Like,
it's nice out right now, dude. If it's above 60, I'm wearing shorts, man. I hate wearing jeans. I'm sick of the jeans and the sweatpants.
I love it, man. And I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I think because I'm always wondering, like, okay, what's my aesthetic on the show? What should I wear? This, that. It's like when it's hot outside, though, I'm gonna start wearing, just gonna be wearing shorts. Be wearing what I wear outside. That's just how it goes. I do love the now obviously always in athletic shorts, men were allowed to show their legs.
Yeah.
But how about the revolution now that we can show our legs? We can wear the 7-seamers.
Yeah. I'm always showing off, but I think this also comes back from the military days. We used to wear these things called Sophies, which I'm pretty sure are like girls cheerleading shorts, but they would make us like, that's what we had to wear. When it was in Texas, in San Antonio in the summer, but I mean, it was pretty embarrassing. I think they actually gave them shorts now. It was like, but like when you're a trainee and you first get into training, you know what I mean? Like military, I don't know why they used to make us wear these like shorts. I'm talking like 4 inches. Like, it is leaving nothing up to the imagination.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we used to have to run around with those things on all the time. And that's all you wore was Sophies, again, a Santee with your name on it. And then that's what you wear when you go to training.
And how long was that for?
There's different portions of training, but my training altogether took over 2 years, like 2.5 years. I got hurt in it, so I got washed back a couple times through training, which, believe it or not, like we were talking about earlier, failures, how those make you better. And that happened to me while I was going through training, and which sucked when it happened. But yeah, it finally, all in all my training took 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so that's like, but to be honest, I don't know a ton about the military in general. I mean, I know quite a bit about it, but not like the true intricacies of it. And when I met you, because you came here before your last fight, and I said, oh, this guy's really fucking cool and badass, and I just would love to have him on the show. And so we got introduced. I didn't know what your combat controller was or like anything. So I don't know. I mean, I've looked it up since, and I've kind of an understanding, but I'm excited to hear, your story about
absolutely
how did you become the controller.
Absolutely. So yeah, a lot of people don't know what a combat controller is. It's a special operations member. So we're in the Air Force, but we're special operations. So when we deploy, we attach to Army, Special Forces, Green Berets, Navy SEALs, MARSOC. So we kind of attach, not too much MARSOC because they have their own JTACs, but we attach those teams, and our job on the teams is to do anything from air to ground interface. So it's like calling in airstrikes, calling in resupplies. We're air traffic controllers, so we're certified like tower air traffic controllers. So we'll set up austere runways, places, so we can land in like C-130s, which are big cargo planes. They come in and unload them, and that's what we do. Anything from air to ground. So on team, we're like a radio specialist. So we got to be like professional in our radios. Air traffic control, which is like a whole new language in itself that you got to learn. So we got to be able to go anywhere any Special Forces team or Navy SEAL team goes. So you got to learn Halo. You got to learn dive. You got to learn. So Halo is high altitude. So if I start talking in acronyms, let me.
Yeah, we will jump in.
Just jump in and let me know, because I always do that. I just don't.
One so far is JTAC.
JTAC. So, there we go. Thank you very much. JTAC is a Joint Terminal Air Controller. So they are the ones who call in the airstrikes. It's a certification, really, what it is. But you're certified to call in airstrikes from like F-16s or fighter jets. So that day and age, and this day and age, I mean, when we're fighting in Afghanistan, that's like the main job, right? Is that you get to an area and you call in airstrikes to suppress the enemy, depending on what kind of mission. If you have like if you do like a hostage rescue or something like that, maybe you're not calling as many airstrikes. You're trying to save people, get them out. But for what we were doing in Afghanistan, that's basically what you do. You move with the team, get to an area, suppress the enemy, and call in the airstrikes. And then we have the other jobs like besides the air traffic controlling the airfield. But yeah, that's basically what we do.
So you want somebody in those situations, you want somebody on the ground.
Oh yeah, we're on the ground with the team. So it's like we're usually like, if you have a Special Forces team, they all have individual jobs. So, you have like guys who are the weapon specialists, and then you have guys who are like you have a comm specialist, then you have a guy who's a medic, then you have a guy who is a engineer, then you have a guy. So everybody in the Special Forces team, it's a team, right? So everybody has their own individual jobs, and we would just attach it, and our job was just like strictly calling the airstrikes for the team. So that's what we do. So you're doing everything, especially clearing.
You're the pharmacist of the medical team.
Exactly.
Exactly. The guy who gets thrown on at the end. Giddy up. We need you too, man. Come on, rounds with us. Giddy up.
So that's basically what they do. And yeah, the training. I mean, it was definitely. So when you.
That's why you need Halo training, is because you're coming with you need to get to these places, so you need to learn diving, you need to learn water skills, you need to learn jumping skills, all this stuff you need to learn how to do.
Exactly. So yeah, Halo for you guys out there is a high altitude, high altitude, low opening, which actually we never really do. We usually do hey ho, which is high altitude, high opening.
Hey ho.
So yeah. So people are always like, oh, you Halo, which the school's called Halo School, and you go there and you learn just basically learning how to skydive. But in an operational missions in real life, if you were to do it, you're going to do a hey-ho, which you do a high altitude, open up your parachute right away, and then you're going to kind of coast with your team together into the area, which usually you'd be up in the sky for like, 20, 30 minutes, flying together into the objectives.
So that's really cool. So you're talking miles in the sky.
Miles, yeah. So I went to a hey-ho school. After I graduated, I was on team. So I was on a team that was specifically we were supposed to be a jump team. So if the jump mission came about, we were going to be the team that execute that. So we did training for it, and so I went to Hey-Ho School. I think the highest we did was we jumped from like 19,000 feet. So like that high, you have to be on oxygen. So you have an oxygen tank when you're jumping, and you're also jumping with all of your gear. So it's not like civilian skydiving when you're out there and you're just like having fun, cruising around, flying through the sky. Everything's all great. No, you're jumping with like 75 pounds attached to you between your legs up to these hooks that run on you, and you have your parachute on the back, and you got your weapon, which is uncomfortable. You got your oxygen tank and your oxygen rig, all that stuff. You can barely move. You look like a big turtle that can't move by the time you're jumping out.
How many of you guys are doing this?
So when we go to school, we would jump with like 13, 14 guys. I think would be on like a team that we're trying to get down to the ground. I think maybe we cut that in half. Maybe it was like 7 or 8. Like we'd get down to the ground, and so yeah, you would jump at night, 18,000 feet, over like a pitch black area, the desert usually. we have MVGs on, so you can kind of see each other, but you open up and then you got to find each other at
Night
first.
vision goggles.
Night vision,
MVGs.
MVGs.
Don't be sorry, bro. We're good.
Night vision goggles. You jump out, and then the first thing that you do after you jump out is you look for each other. So you got to team up in a little team, figure out what way you're going, and then you got to fly through the sky. And usually you have one guy navin, one guy in the back keeping everybody together, so you can see if anybody's going off, to the wrong area. Like, hey, let's go catch this guy. And it's pretty cool. It's like a really like in the moment teamwork thing you got to do to get everybody to go focus together, figure out what we got to do, and land the team together in a location. Because that's the main thing. Like if you do a mission like that, and like one guy gets away from the team, and you all land in an area, and the mission's off. You're not going to go finish the mission. You got to go find that guy that just got lost in the middle of the desert. But yeah, anyways, I think the farthest we did one was like, I think it was like 18K up. You would jump from 18K, and then we offset like 45, 30K. So that's far. 35. You mean you're up in the sky for a while. I remember it's at night, and even if you're in the desert, like we were training in Arizona, it's cold at altitude. When you get that high up there, you're freezing. So by the time you get down to the ground, your fingers start thawing out. You know what I mean? You like super, super cold. But it was really cool stuff though.
So you don't start to thaw out on the way down yet.
What's that?
You don't start to thaw out on the way down. It starts to get warmer.
Usually you're so focused you don't feel anything because you're just trying.
Adrenaline.
It's like adrenaline, like a fight, right? You just focus on the mission. Then you get down to the ground and you're trying to take your parachute off. You're like, oh my god, my hands hurt so. I remember I got down one of my jumps and I literally had the straps on my parachute. I couldn't even like use my hands to try to open it up because they were so cold. And then it was cool stuff.
You just feel everything immediately.
Yeah.
How big of a spot are you trying to jump to? The landing area.
Yeah, the drop zone or the landing area. I mean, we're trying to get everybody as close together as possible. I mean, if we can land in like a 100 by 100 field, I mean that's pretty good actually, I would say. But we're aiming for smaller than that, probably like 50 by 50.
Wow, cool.
You know what I mean? But like, it's depending. Like sometimes we'll change we jump out and there's crazy winds that we didn't expect at altitude, and it pushes us all off to a different location than we expected. We'll pick a new spot to land. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to get that original spot we're trying to land at. And so there's a lot of like communication we're doing in there up in the sky to figure out exactly how we're going to land everybody together.
I think that's my question is that ever challenging where you're like worried about where you're going to land because it's not a landing place?
Yeah, because you're not going to the original landing location that you wanted to go to. Yeah, there's definitely, you're aiming for, does that look like a good spot? You're making up spots on the secondary DZs. You're making up spots on the way as you're doing it. I've had one time where they messed up and they dropped us over the spot where we were supposed to land, like just, right over the spot, and in the place that we're supposed to go to, we just messed up somehow with like our navigation, what numbers we plugged into our GPSs or something like that.
Yeah.
And we just drifted out into the middle of the desert, and then it took us like all day to walk back.
Yeah,
I don't know. We started walking. It was nighttime. By the time we got back and the cars picked up, it was bright day, and we have to carry all of our parachutes and our stuff. So stuff like that happens every once in a while. Yeah, people screw up all the time in the military, but nobody talks about that stuff.
Right.
Everybody's always screwing up.
Yeah, well, I bet there's a ton of that. You've already mentioned it once in the show. It's how we learn, right? We learn from failure and from screwing up, and then just
absolutely
doing it right the next time.
1,000%. I think that's the most important thing, man. I've learned all from failure, so
yeah, I love it. So you decide you want to become a combat controller. You start doing it. You're training.
Yep.
And now so how long were you were training for 2.5 years?
Yeah.
And then you get what happens next?
So after that, you get sent up to your squadron. So I got stationed up in Washington State and at JBLM, and so I was up there. I was there for 2.5 years. From there, like once you get on, we call it being on team. So when you're on team and you're on state time, you're working with all guys like me, combat controllers, pararescue, which is other special operations within the Air Force. They're more medical. Then you have special reconnaissance, new one, and then you have TAC Bs. We all train together. We all train together on team. We do like training trips. So like I just talked about, like one for a 2-week trip, maybe go do a jump school for 2 weeks, and you're just like learning. They had to become a better jumper. And then they send us to a shooting school, and they send us to a radio school, and then they send us to a dirt biking school, and then they send us. So you're just kind of all constantly on the road, or you just go to a training exercise where you get to like try this stuff in real life. So you're constantly like, you're home for a week, you're gone for 2 weeks, you're home for a week, you're gone for 2 weeks.
Cool.
It's cool, especially as like a younger guy, and you don't have, but if you have a family or if you have anything like that, it's really hard. And like the divorce rate for the job is like insane.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds really awesome. Sounds like something I would have really loved.
Yeah,
because it gives you a chance to explore things that you might not would not have been able to, or might not have ever thought to do. Otherwise.
Exactly.
Well, at the same time, getting, acquiring skills that are going to be useful to help yourself and help for, useful for this country.
Absolutely. I mean, if we had to use them, they're necessary. You need these guys to be able to do these things. So,
yes, sir.
And a lot of those things are, I mean, training wise, they're fun. But the thing is training is pretty dangerous too. Like, you're always doing something dangerous, like scuba diving. And the thing is, like for that job, we had so many things we had to be good at. We had to be good at diving. We had to be good at jumping. We had to be good at shooting. We had to be good at climbing. We got to be good at all these different skill sets you have to learn. So it's like, you can't get really good at anything. You're always constantly training and learning to try to get, better at these things, but you can't spend all your time in one area because we have to be so diverse in so many different skills.
I read that they were the jack of all trades.
We are the jack of all trades.
That's
for sure. So that's what they say. And I think that's one of the things that helped me with learning fighting, which because I'm first of all, I had to learn a lot of things that I'm not passionate about. You know what I mean? Like I like jumping out of planes, but I'm not like one of these guys that want to go skydiving all the single time. So I want to know everything about skydiving, but I had to learn about skydiving, or I had to learn about guns, or I had to learn about things just enough to be proficient enough.
Yeah, I love it.
I always have to learn.
It's kind of like my take on it as well. Like I'm actually I'm super afraid of heights.
Me too.
Oh,
believe it or not, I hate heights. But and all my job was on a lot of but anyways, continue. Sorry.
Oh, cool. I want to get into that because like heights scare me a ton, but that's something that I like to challenge myself with because of like what you're talking about. I try to make myself uncomfortable and challenge myself so I can conquer that, because there might be a time where I need to, be at altitude or be at heights and do things that I, whatever. You just got to prepare for this type of stuff, I think. Yeah,
it's like the necessary skill of swimming. It's like, or martial arts, right? It's like you need to be, it's for your health to be like you don't want to die by drowning. You just need to be able to swim. You know what I mean? It's like important that you learn that skill, even if you don't like to swim. And same thing with martial arts, and same thing with so many things, right? Those things that you got to do just to, take care of yourself, to be a better person. Right. Not even a better person, to be a safe person.
Be a safe person.
Exactly.
Learning about guns, so not to go and then to use them use them against people, but so you can be educated about them and to help other people maybe not use them. Or
exactly.
Yeah, I think
if there's a scenario, and there could be a scenario where there's a gun sitting there and it needs to use it to save your own life, and even if you don't own one, that could happen to you. So you might, it's like, there's a real, like, I'm not even a big gun guy, to be honest. I just don't really, like, I'll shoot them. I was in the military, and I enjoyed it when I was all the shooting schools and stuff I went to, but I'm not like a super, super big gun guy.
Right. You don't have this arsenal back home.
Yeah, but they're like a real thing. You know what I mean? So why do people, like, the fact that people are so afraid of them that they're not willing to learn anything about them, it's just because they just think it's negative. I think that's a bad mindset to have, because it's a real thing that exists. So you should learn how to use it, and just in case, whenever scenario, hopefully that scenario never happens, but they are important for everybody to learn about and learn the safety for them.
Yeah, I love that opinion. I think I'm cut from the same cloth that way. It's like I'm not a huge gun guy, and I don't have military experience, but I like to shoot them, and I think that's cool. And I like to educate myself enough to know that how to use them safely. Like, you have to do that. They're here. It's not, it's not going away.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so there's, I think too that there's definitely better ways to like regulate it. Sure, you can do
sure.
that. Yeah, do that. Get it. Get them to safer people. Like the people who want to have education about it, and not people who want to do bad things with them.
Yeah, that's a slippery. I mean, there's so many. It's a slippery slope when you start going down that road about those things. Like, I don't know the right answer to that. I don't think anybody knows the right answer to that. So
I definitely know.
It's an opinion, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just something to be talked about. That's what this show's all about, is just helping people talk about this stuff, and talking about opinions. And everyone has a different opinion. And like, maybe if we all threw our opinions out there and talked about them in a nice way, like, we could actually have some progress and get something done that it helped everyone be safer.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
That's cool,
people need to find a common ground. That's it. And everywhere, man. It's like, that's the biggest thing I find in life this day, is like, people are just not, because I think it comes from the culture, and we kind of talked a little bit about this, of being on your phones and all this stuff. Like, people don't have to really live with each other anymore. You can kind of, go do your own thing and like stay in your room, or you know what I mean, and just live a different, like people are not as social as they used to be, I feel like. So that kind of creates this culture where people just like they're divided. Like, oh, I disagree with you, and I'm not going to try to understand anything you have to say or do because I just disagree with you in this blunt face, and they just and just write them off instead of trying to accept and just trying to just see how people look at things in their own way. So
I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the way that it's affected our culture and how we know now we're gonna, you know, we don't interact with each other anymore, so we don't sit with those uncomfortable feelings like, oh, this person said this, but they said this, so I don't agree with them, so I'm gonna go conversate with them more, and we're gonna talk about this more. It's like, oh no, I don't agree with them. I'm right. I'm gonna go lock myself off and just live in my own little reality.
Exactly.
You know, we're just creating so many more, more realities, and it's really like we're all just living in the same one. So let's giddy up together.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree. I like that.
So were you like, the way you're talking, like you had to be probably specially chosen for this, right? Like like selected.
So you're selected. So there's a selection. I mean, like I said, it's 2.5 years. You have an initial selection when you go through, and then after that, whatever our team was, I think through selection, I think like maybe 15 of us, you started off with like 60, 70 or something like that. And then, but from that selection team through the 2.5 years, a lot of those guys, I think only from the original class, it was like 4 or 5 of us that made it through. And so I mean, it's the washout rate is pretty high. I mean, it happens over time, but there's like I said, the water is a big one that, where people, panic and start the feeling of drowning and all that gets to people. And that's a big portion of our training. And mentally, the schools like air traffic control, I struggled with it for sure. So I washed back. We talked about that. Like I failed that one time, so I had to wash back. And if you don't pass it the second time, that's it. You're done. So, I made it through. So, but I didn't even know what I was getting myself into with the air traffic control thing. But yeah, there's a couple of schools. I also washed back in the dive school, which I was good in the water, but I'm very comfortable. Like, it wasn't that bad. That wasn't too bad for me because I was so comfortable in the water. I just messed up in a sequence of something that made me fail out.
Yep.
With when I was doing one of my testing. So I had to wash back to that again. But that was a grind. Like when I was going through, so they do this thing called pre-scuba, which is 5 weeks of essentially you getting drowned not drowned, like they're not sitting there drowning you, but it's like underwater. So you're doing like 25 meter underwater, stay underwater, come back, swim back, do it again, 25 meters. And there's a lot of things they do. We do buddy breathing, which is 2 guys and 1 snorkel, and you're breathing off of 1 snorkel, and there's an instructor there thrashing you around, trying to mess with you and
making it as hard as possible.
Exactly. Yep. There's a lot of that stuff. I mean,
that's what you mean by drowning. You guys,
people do pass out. I mean, I've seen a lot of people pass out in the water. So it's like, yes, there's like you're physically getting thrashed around, and there's a lot. So, but I was a pretty good athlete, so I'm always good in those kind of, and I grew up surfing, so I was kind of good in the water, so this didn't bother me so much to do that stuff. So, but a lot of people it does, and there's just a lot of different things. There's the physical, like, you have to do physical tests every single week at one portion of the training, and you have to make these numbers, and the times get faster, the pull-ups get harder, the push-ups get
harder. Wow, so it's not just subjective.
No. They increase. So from the beginning to the end, the standard of what you have to do increases as you get. So it's just it's not like you just make the standard and now you're good. Because if you make that standard at the beginning, no, that standard gets harder.
Right, the standard's not the standard.
Yeah, exactly. It just they pushing the bar on you until the very end of training. Wow. There's an exit standard that you have to achieve, and then there's the rucking, and there's the land navigation, and there's so many things that you gotta learn.
Right, and now the did you decide like I'm Air Force right away, and then I'm going to Air Force, and then this is an opportunity, an avenue for me, so I'm gonna take it?
No, I mean, so just joining, I was actually looking at the Navy. I wanted to be a SEAL, but I kind of changed my mind about they were kind of not giving me a Navy SEAL job for whatever reason. So the recruiter wanted to put me in as some like other random jobs. So I was like, now I want to be like an operator. Like I know what I want to do. I feel like in the military, if you get washed into like, you just give them a job, they're going to assign you. Nobody cares about you. You're just a number.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It is what it is.
You went knowing what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I knew what I wanted to do. So the Air Force, the recruiter
And by that, I mean, you knew you wanted to be a badass motherfucker, and you knew you wanted to be an operator and learn skills and be out there.
Yeah. I feel like where I was at before I joined just my physical. I feel like I just knew I knew I wasn't gonna quit before I became a combat controller. I believe that. Like, it wasn't like it made me even stronger in a lot of assets in my life. But I already had the mentality of never quitting, and like that came from my whole life of the sports and hockey and martial arts.
Your grandfather telling you to giddy up and bring the stuff out to the farm.
Exactly, doing all that stuff. And so so I kind of knew that about myself, but it definitely I think that. So I saw a cool job. It looked exciting to me. It could work out. So that's the job I took.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, like I said, I didn't really know how the military worked, and like I said, but that's good advice for anyone, a young kid who's listening to this and you are interested in the military, which I know some of my nephews are. Be focused on this. Be focused on the job you want to do. There's so many different jobs in the military, so many different things that you can have access to and opportunities for, and you can do what you want. So just figure out what that is before going to talk to the recruiter and be and be fierce in it.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Don't sign up for the military and just like this job, then you can cross train into this, or they'll start saying stuff like that. Like, you're only going to be this for a little while. Then you want to contract with the job you want to do in the military, and then you go for it, because if not, you're going to get tossed around to some other job. So, and even my job, I took a gamble going in because, I saw the washout rate was high, you know what I mean? And, so, what is it? I think it's like 5% or something.
Yeah, say a little bit higher, because you said 60 people and you said you ended up with 5, so that would be about what, 3%?
Yeah, something like that. So like I knew there was like a risk, and but I just feel like it was.
I knew there was a risk, like 3%.
And what that sucks with that job is if you don't make it, and then now you get stuck, they can assign you with any job you want.
Oh, so you had like a little thing in the back of your mind.
Oh yeah.
Saying, okay.
Oh yeah. There was no quitting in me. I'm not doing whatever job. So I knew that. I was like, yeah, it was life or death. But I feel like
so cool.
Somebody like me who has ADHD, I got really bad ADD and ADHD in my whole life. And like I said, I'm not a school guy or anything like that. But someone like me, I need that like life or death scenario for me to perform at the level I need to survive. If it's not life or death, I don't really perform that well, because I'm just lazy and lackadaisical, and not lazy, but I'm just my brain's all over the place. So
Connor, you're the guy who can literally stand in front of the mirror all day and do martial arts and just hang out and be yourself and do your thing. You sort of to actually get to the level of performance, like you said, it needs to be life or death. And I feel that too. It's not to to the extent that you do, but a lot of people, you're either one way or the other. You're either the person who's fine, or you're a person who giddy up, get me some pressure, and we're gonna do better. And you are obviously the extreme of that.
I am. I have been, and I think that's why I love fighting so much, because it's like the pressure is just like unmatched in anything else that I've done in my life. So
even more so than jumping 20,000 feet out of a plane.
Yeah, there was portions of the training that were really there's a lot of pressure, and it was different. It was a different kind of pressure for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like fighting, it's like, I knew in that job, it's like you get done. There was a point in the training where like you got to get to that spot, and then you're done. So it's like 2.5 years. I get it. I get my beret. So what it was, we get our beret, and then we graduate training and all that stuff. And I knew that was it. I'm done. I can withstand that. With fighting, there's like a mountaintop that never stops, because as soon as you beat somebody who's good, you're looking at the next peak of who's the next better guy I have to fight. So it's a never ending. You know what I mean? There's no end.
No, yeah, it's a never ending pursuit.
And then the same thing with martial arts in general is like you can't just know everything. There's always something to learn. There's always something to get you better. So it's like that's what I like about the martial arts, is just like I'm chasing something I'm never gonna find.
Yeah, I love that. You're just always, or the way that I might look at it is that you're always finding it, and you're going to continuously chase it.
Or that, yeah, exactly.
It's fucking amazing, dude. Like it's going from something where you said it's such a harsh end outcomes.
Yeah.
To this is it. This is what you need to do, to the point where it's like, if you don't run the mile this fast, if you don't do this many pull-ups, you're out.
Yeah.
Like that level of accountability. And then a whole different a whole different type of accountability with yourself, not with end outcomes. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. One's kind of forced upon you, and one's like within yourself almost. And yeah, it was. I think all those times I had like we had tests every single week, or we had physical tests, we had mental tests, we had different schools. Like we graduate one school, and then you go to another next school, and and you had to graduate each one of those schools. And I think that those are all pretty, like, even if it was mentally, I learned a lot about myself more mentally than I did physically even though we had the most physical hard job, I really think it was more mentally challenged for me, which I carried it out into my martial arts. I got so much better at martial arts after, I did my 6 years in the military, and like towards the end, like my 6th year, I decided that, like, and I started training again. I was like, I think I want to take another run at this fighting thing. I got so much better, so much faster than I ever had before, because my brain set was just, I learned something about learning in the military that helped me in, it helped me
It's
in
amazing.
martial arts.
And I want to crush that. I just want to give it its due, because you served the country, and you actually, it wasn't just training for you. You were deployed, and you served, and you were over there, in Afghanistan.
Yep. Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and just, want to just touch on that for a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I deployed to Afghanistan 2017, 2018. So it was right when Trump took office. So there's different ROEs, rules of engagement, were kind of a little bit more lax than they were before in the Obama administration. So there was a lot of missions and a lot of stuff going on. So which was good, because like for me, like I'd spent all that time training. It's like, imagine spending all your time training for a fight and then never getting to go fight. You just kind of did it for no reason. So so I get to go out and serve and go on missions, and I was lucky enough where I get to go out and do some stuff, and it was cool. And I learned a lot. I saw a lot about the world. I saw like just war, how it really is over there. You know what I mean? You kind of have your perspective from movies and all that kind of thing. And I can't even watch a movie at all for like 30 seconds. I can't watch any military or combat fighting movie at all, because I'm just like, fake. I can't enjoy it anymore.
Right? It doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up. Just everything's not right the way it would be, and just I can see through all the bullshit. So it's like, I can't even watch it now. I'm into chick flicks. So,
what's your favorite one?
Me and my girlfriend watched one the other day. It was Paradise something, and I was like, I've been watching all like these Tom Clancy movies and all this stuff, and I find myself just like I'm going to bed. Screw this. It's not even. I sat through an entire chick flick the other day. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like when I was a kid, I would never watch this, and now I'm watching this instead of watching the fighting movies. Like I was watching Creed, which I liked, but I was like, still like, oh, it looks so fake. This is stupid. Da da da. So it's funny.
Growth.
Yeah.
I love it. No, man, that's really cool. That I think, like a lot of people who I don't have a ton of experience talking with people, who have served, active time in Afghanistan. But from the people who I've talked to, it usually wasn't that. That was a really neat perspective that you shared with me. That kind of just went over there. You learned, to learning how to do some stuff. You got to, do some stuff, and that was.
Yeah. So when I came home from Afghanistan, I was definitely a little bit off mentally for me. Like I was more short. Sure. I was like I'm a team guy. I've been on teams literally my entire life, like sporting teams from playing hockey, like, since, and then when I joined the military, what do? You're straight onto teams. And and I was always a good dynamic, but I find myself like, getting shorter with people and angry and stuff like that when I came back from Afghanistan. So that's one of the reasons why I started training martial arts again when I came home. Kind of helped me with that. I lost a couple friends too. So I had a couple friends. I think that might have been one of the reasons why that was affecting me more than now that I look back on it. Yeah, I did lose a couple friends. And
over there, you're saying?
One of my teammates in training died. This kid Dylan Elchin died. He when I came back from Afghanistan, he died right when we were leaving. So he and then one of my other friends who is actually a wrestler, this kid George Hernandez. He was like one of the best wrestlers I've ever rolled with ever. And me and him were training a lot in Afghanistan when we were over there. And when we came home, he ended up dying in New Year's due to got ran over by a bus in Nashville. It was terrible. It was awful. Yeah, it was bad.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. I mean, he was so I lost two of those guys, and I think that was kind of affecting me. So I went into martial arts I went back into anytime I ever struggled with anything in my entire life, I would always go into martial arts to like get my mindset. So that's exactly what it is. So
Yeah, having a foundation I found is from my understanding, you were doing this since you were a little kid, martial arts, forever, and I didn't have anything like that, but I learned in my later on in my life, yoga and movement. And
I love yoga. Yeah, it's the best.
It's the absolute best,
Yeah.
and you can just learn so much, and that's now I've begun to make that my foundation.
Yeah.
When I'm lost or I'm fucked up and I need to just get back to something, I say, well, dude, I know I can go and I can get into I like to do hot yoga and
It's the best.
It's the best.
You feel idle? I think that's one of the things I did too. Is when I came back from Afghanistan, I was just doing hot yoga a lot. And dude, there's no better feeling I feel like you get after a hard like Bikram like hot yoga class, dude. Like you feel so good. The endorphins in your brain and everything. I'm a big sauna and like ice bath guy too. Of course, everybody is this day and age. But like, I feel like I love hot yoga because your brain's on doing something. You're trying to do these little tasks. You're not just sitting in a sauna. Right. You're kind of gonna get bored.
Listening to a podcast.
And you're only just counting the time. Yeah, exactly. First saunas, you're always just like, all right, I could stay in here for 5 more minutes. All right, I can stay in this. That's what you're doing in a sauna. For a hot yoga class, you're moving your body, you're stretching yourself out as well as like focusing on something that you're not focusing on the heat as much. So how hot's the one you go to right now?
I wish it was a little bit hotter.
Yeah,
but it's like 102.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's hard to find good ones around. Like when I was in Washington, I was at one. I was like 120. Like I remember. All right. I'm not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm pretty tough. I've special forces training, special operations training, and all this stuff. I did a Bikram yoga class. There's one portion. I was like, I need to sit down. I was starting to pass out. I'm seeing stars and stuff. I'm sitting down. And there's like an old lady right next to me, just like gracefully going through. I'm like, wow, yeah. I just got shown up by some old lady.
Humbling.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it because like it's we've already talked about it on this show, with a couple of the guests that have been on episodes that have been released. It's when I started doing hot yoga, like I said, I knew that feeling afterwards, and I was chasing that feeling so bad because I knew I needed it, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I know and we talked about it before, the only way is through.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You have to go through the class. You have to, go through the struggle to get that feeling. You can't take a pill. You can't do anything. There's there's no shortcuts. So at first I was like, I'd bring in my gallon jug of water and I'd be chugging it down. Sometimes I'd have to run out of the room and throw up in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like it was a battle, it was a battle for me to get to the point where now I could, I can do it. And I like to challenge myself a little bit when I'm in saunas, and it's amazing how much time after doing a yoga class and breathing, I can double, triple my time in a sauna.
Yeah.
Like incredible, and I'm doing it, that's at 190 degrees. So it's cool to see what the heat and the focus. You hit it on the head, though.
So, yeah, dude. I'm telling you, dude. BeeWell. So it's good topics. I'm big into cold exposure, and I've been doing that for about, I would say, about a couple of years now. I've been doing it pretty consistently, and I just feel like it. For me, it's like I'm able to. I haven't been doing it. Usually, I take a little mental breaks in between my fights, and like for me, a mental break between fights. I'm still training every single day because I love training martial arts. But my mental breaks like eat whatever food I kind of want to do because I'm not in fight camp, and don't do the ice baths as religiously. You know what I mean? I'm I'm doing it 3 times a week, and I'm trying to get 4 to 5 minutes each session. You know what I mean? I'm very disciplined on that. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's the mental battle you got to put yourself through. Like we were just talking about that mental, everybody hates sitting in the bath, but you conquer that 5 minutes. I like to do 5 minutes because that's what a round is 5 minutes. And I know that nobody's going to keep pressure, the uncomfortableness of a ice bath, your brain focusing through that being uncomfortable in an ice bath. Is then you go do a 5-minute round with somebody where there's breaks now because we're not constantly swinging punches the entire time. We're going a little bit. I'm resting. I'm getting movement. So it's like some little mental thing that I do with myself that helps me. Is I know I can focus and stay calm and withstand an uncomfortable circumstance for 5 minutes. So I can do it 5 minutes of my fight.
Dude, I love that so much, like the 5 minutes thing, and that's
Yeah.
and that's the thing, people. It really is. It's all your nervous system.
Yes.
It's your training your nervous system to let you know, even though your body's telling you, your nervous system is letting you know, you're dying, get the fuck out, get the fuck out of here, you're fucking dying, stupid motherfucker, you're dying.
Exactly.
You say, no, we're actually good.
Exactly.
We're gonna breathe and we're gonna survive because I know that we can get through this and the limits of that. And
1000%.
dude, that's why you feel so good afterwards.
It is. And then never mind all the physical like things it does. It like basically flushes all good blood into the rest of your body. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it takes his goal is taking all those blood and all those extremities, is bringing it into the inside of your body, and then it's flushing, putting new, better red blood back in there. So it's like you feel great after. Actually, we gotta do one today. Now we're talking about it. Now I gotta do one today.
Yeah, you gotta do one, dude. I got it. Like, I didn't get in a bath, but I do cold showers. You know,
I do those too, yeah.
I would love that. I got to start doing the baths. You know, I've done them before, but I just haven't committed to like setting up a little thing.
You got a bath at your house? You have a bathtub?
I have a bathtub. Yeah.
So in the winter, I do the tub outside. I got a steel actually the guys from my gym bought it, which they're awesome. We do Sunday rolling at my house, which is like a couple veterans, but there's also just my friends, like just open mat, have a good time, roll, and then we hop in the ice bath after.
Dr. BeeWell invited?
Yeah, you absolutely anytime you want to come down. So absolutely, yeah. So we every Sunday at noon. So
love it.
I like noon because it's not too early. You do early in the morning, people would be hungover and stuff from Saturday nights. Like noon, you have no excuse.
Yeah, right. Get
doing
that
at noon on a Sunday.
Right.
So we do Sundays at noon, but then the winter was nice though because we just go outside, break the ice off the ice bath, and you're good to go. You don't have to throw any ice in it or anything. But once it starts warming up, I go inside and I do the ice bath, and I just fill up the tub. I go to a 7-Eleven and buy like 7 bags of ice, and I just put 7 bags of ice in there, and I'll do that. And it sucks, but yeah.
You want to know what I learned recently? So this kid at the gym that I was telling him about, we're talking about ice baths, because it's so common now. And it's so funny because I was doing these cold showers because I learned of it through Kundalini yoga, which is a type of like mantra-based yoga. If you want to talk about focused, start chanting while you're also, focusing on doing you're going to get even more of that high feeling.
I got something to tell you. This is my first fight. I had done this. I started listening to mantras in my headphones, like all during fight night. I just had mantras going in my head from like powerful mantras.
I love it,
dude. And I have these. I have what do you call not Dre beats, but the buds.
Bows.
Not the bows. The buds. Yeah, I forgot what they're called. But anyways, Skull Candy. They're Skull Candy Crusher. Skull Candy Crusher headphones. They're like really nice, but you have like this bass thing on it. You can like crank up the bass in them. So I blast the bass and I put the mantras on, and I feel like zen. And it's like everybody's like, oh, you look so calm in your last fight. You're like, and I'm not saying that's the only reason. I think obviously one of the reasons why I felt so calm and relaxed in my last fight is because of all the training I had, that I was just confident in my abilities. But I was listening to those, and they put me on like this nice even playing field where I was like walked out. I wasn't like nervous. I was nothing. I was just like, just felt great. And just like in the moment, it felt good. So anyways,
it's so good, man. Like,
I don't know why you were saying something, but I interrupted you about mantras.
Drew, I love it. That's what this is all about. Is mantra-based yoga is going to make you focus, even more so. And like, knowing that that you were doing it, because I do that shit too sometimes. If I can't sleep or if I'm trying to, get to a place.
Yep.
Oh, it's the best, man. And I go and it's like you are, because we all,
I feel the deep sleep. I mean, and I don't know the science behind it and what it does to help you sleep, but I do them sometimes when I'm sleeping as well. And dude, I always have the best night's sleeps when I listen to those mantras and stuff for like 10, 15, not even like 7 minutes. And I put those on, take them off, and I'm out.
Right.
So there's definitely something to it. I don't know what the science is or anything, but I feel great when I do it. And another thing I don't know if you're into is breathing. I'm pretty big into. I have a breathing coach that I use.
I love it.
Michael Cristoforo. Well,
yeah, we're gonna have to look into that. I need a breathing coach because I love breathing and I love just the different, Kundalini. That's what I was saying. So before I forget, Ice Maker on Amazon. They're like $40, I guess. You don't even need to, you can just or maybe $80 or something, but you can just plug it in and it's going to create you those 7 bags of ice instead of having to buy them at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I'll definitely look at that. I definitely need one because I'm spending way too much money on ice bags.
Well, I said this the other day to some Gen Z kid, or I was like, oh yeah, well I'd have to have buy a big ice machine to make this. And he's like, yeah, dude, they're like $80 on Amazon. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, just gonna pass that information forward. Giddy up.
So the my guy Michael Cristoforo, he helped me for my last 2 fight camps that we do, and he's big into ice. He's uncertified under Wim Hof, and he's did like the Wim Hof training. He's with Wim Hof and all that, climb mountains with like shirts and t-shirts, whatever.
He's been with Wim. He's jumped in Wim's little pond there.
Yeah, he's done that, and he's also an athletic guy. Oxygen Advantage. I'm not sure who the author or whoever that certifies as the Oxygen Advantage guy. So, but he does. We do like once a week or twice a week. Before my fights, he's been working with me, and I feel like that's another big thing that's helping me with my cardio. Is just like I don't get tired, and I think it's just controlling. We do this thing called reverse breathing, where you're like breathe deeper into your stomach, and then instead of everybody else is like it does this breathing where they breathe in the shallow into their chest, and especially when you get tired and everything. And it's like the opposite what you're supposed to do. He's like, the more you can extend into your diaphragm, like breathe into your diaphragm, the more oxygen that's going to come into your lungs, and you can do it in a more efficient way. If you look at guys like Israel Adesanya and guys like that do it, and it helps out a lot. So I think that's a huge advantage. Never mind, like the Wim Hof is just like we talked about. Like all these other things is like it helps me. It's a meditative thing for me. It helps me, brings me like this sense of zen. I don't know if that's what it is, but like this calmness that I can control myself and control my brain better. That I do that. I'm pretty consistent with that stuff as is doing those like every day.
Yeah.
So I got breathing exercises, and I think they're a huge help. Another thing we do with the when we're training is he'll do like stuff with like resistance, where he put like balls and stuff on my diaphragm and have me try to like breathe into it. It's like weightlifting on my stomach through to my diaphragm, and then we do this nitrous breathing, I think it is, where you just like he puts me into this like very uncomfortable state where I'm like not breathing at all basically, and you're kind of like holding you're like feel like you need to breathe, and like that panic, but how to control your inhalations in those stressful moments is, and that's what a fight is. You know what I mean? You get into these like, but like, how do you stay calm, relaxed, and efficient in those moments? So
it's amazing, dude. It's all the nervous system, and,
yes.
you know it. And so It's so fucking cool because the way that you're, the level and the expertism that, the expertise that you're manipulating your nervous system at is just so incredible. Like the breath thing, like when you learn about the breath thing and you learn like, I'm in shallow breathing, that's the body is so resilient and can do, it's always going to survive.
Yeah.
So the whole time, you're breathing into you can be doing this for your entire life.
Yeah.
And you'll still survive. You won't be living an optimized, healthy life, and you'll feel anxious and shitty all the time.
Yeah.
But if you can learn how to breathe in.
It's the only way you can control your nervous system, I think, is through breathing. It's the only way you can figure out how to control your
parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So your sympathetic nervous system is when you are, fight, giddy up, let's go.
Yeah.
And then your parasympathetic nervous system is what kicks in when you're, rest and digest.
Yeah.
When you're going to chill. And like getting to that point, man, and being able to get to that point, like it's
crazy.
Like literally, and you're doing it when somebody's punching you in the face.
Yeah, trying to.
Right, exactly right. Trying to, right, exactly right.
No, so I'm saying I'm no Wim Hof yet or anything like that, but I have seen, because I've been doing it for I think I started Wim Hof breathing 3 years ago. I have found myself like I feel like I'm starting to control like my heart rate and stuff better. Like I noticed like when I went to the doctors the other day, like I can get myself to like lower when I'm hooked up. I can get myself to really lower my heart rate down there, and they're asking, is something wrong with you? Do you usually have because I was doing it on purpose, trying to lower my heart rate and then bring my heart, and then I'd just do nothing, and then it would just go back up, and I'd lower my heart rate. They're like, is something wrong with you because you're really inconsistent, like, and I was just trying to see if I can do it, because he was talking about that when we do our Wim Hof breathing, and at the end we like focusing on your heart rate, and that's kind of getting I forgot what the word he uses, but you're controlling something that's not supposed to be controlled by your normal nervous system.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what
parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah. You're sure, so that's like one step to trying to, you know what I mean, control that. And then there's other like guys like
overcoming that.
Exactly. And Wim Hof can like do crazy stuff. Like I know they ejected him with like E. coli and he fought it off. And all that stupid crazy stuff.
Just by breathing.
Yeah.
You can control a lot of the systems in your body.
Yeah.
By just connecting with them. And the only way that you can do that is through the breath. The body and the brain, they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
But they can through the breath.
Which is insane.
It is. It's so wild to think about, and it's like it's really what like this show is about, and what I'm trying to really get forward to the guests is like you know people you have, and it sucks that we live in such like a society that's go all the time where people can't, because like to get to this point, like the reason you know you have this you know the ability, you say you could do martial arts all day long and you can just be and exist, and that's really hard for people to do, and to you know to do things like that, and like breathing teaches you, you know, that's where you can get into these things, you can learn these things, like you know I remember when I'm first starting to do this, like, you know, I'm holding my breath for a minute and a half, and I literally think I'm going to die. But then when I get up, I get past that point and I let my brain know, you're not going to die. We're actually safe. Yeah. Then I can hold my breath for another minute and a half after that.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That is, you know, why was I holding myself back? That was only a mental block. I was only mentally blocking myself.
Exactly. There's a lot of that, man. Yeah.
A lot of that.
People do that all the time with so many different, not even just your breath, and so many different assets of their life. They just think this is this is the end. And I think I got lucky, like I was in the military, I got pushed to all these really, like when we do our breath holds and stuff, he's like, I'm in like the top one. Like he's like, there's nobody. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm up at like holding my breath with no air in it after I think for like 3.5, 4 minutes. You know what I mean? Like just like. And he's like, yeah, you have like a ridiculous breath retention. And I know, like, I did these breathing exercises with my other controllers and my friends when they were visiting me, and they're the same way though.
At the bottom of your,
Dude,
at the bottom.
I didn't have them do it through the bottom of my breath, but they just did a breath hold. And one of my friends was visiting in town, he's a controller, and I was like telling him what I was doing. He's like, oh, maybe see it. And I think he's just like me. He has this mental ability just to push through and discomfort and just not quit. You know what I mean? And he did the same thing. He did like a ridiculous breath hold as well. So it's like, I think maybe all the pool training and stuff we did, but like you just learn how to put yourself into these uncomfortable positions and be okay. And you know, you're not, like you just said, no, you're not going to die. You keep going for another 10 seconds, keep going until you pass out, which does happen eventually when you keep holding your breath. So people listening, you're going to say, no, all right, I'm going to see how long you do this. You will pass out. It does happen. Just
right. Yeah. So make sure you're either doing it.
You hold your breath until you pass out. Do some breathing exercises.
Yeah, do some breathing exercises, and if you do get to that point where you think you can start getting up and pushing it, just do it with somebody or do it while you're sitting down. You know, you can just do it. There's ways to do it safely for sure, and don't like manipulate it. You know, don't like use something foreign to hold your breath. You know, it's all within you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people do that, and I'm like, dude, you know, if you know what you're doing, sure, giddy up, like push yourself, but no device should, you know.
Also, another one is like I've seen people do, I think is very unsafe, is like they do Wim Hof breathing, which sometimes when I'm doing just Wim Hof breathing, like you get lightheaded doing it, so it's like you could pass out or whatever, and you just kind of wake up back and you'd be fine. But then people do the Wim Hof breathing, and they go do an underwater and stay underwater and see how long they can, because after you do Wim Hof, I don't know if you guys know, but you're breathing in and out, and you're kind of almost like charging yourself with oxygen. So then after you do that, you can hold your breath for a lot longer than just, me just sitting here right now holding my breath. But so guys will do that, and then they'll do see how long they can do while being underwater, and like that's dangerous because you're gonna you'll pass out if you're in a tub and stuff like that, and it's like it's pointless, and especially if you don't have anybody watching you. Right. It's super, super dangerous. So there's no need to do something stupid like that.
Yeah,
so
be safe.
Yeah, be safe.
Be safe,
doing
guys.
This stuff, and do it with a friend.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Me and Peter Barrett, he's a professional. We were doing these breathing things. There's a couple of times where we do like breath holds and walk and see how far you can go with the breath hold and walk, and you pass out. So that's like the way I do it now. It's just do it with a friend and have somebody watching you do it.
Do it with a friend. Do it with someone watching you, making sure you're safe. And that's the thing, dude. Is like the more you get to know, your own body, the more you can understand these things.
Know where the limit is too.
Yeah.
See, am I going too far? Am I not going far? So there's that for that as well, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're a guy who knows your limits. You sat down at the yoga class in Washington.
Exactly. I did. It was hard. Yeah. It was hard for me. It was hard for the ego to do, but I did it. It's that time.
I love it. I love it. So so just with fighting, so you came back from the military, and you were starting to fight. You got after it, and you started right away because you didn't want to you didn't go back. You were thinking about going back to the military, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of that in between.
So yeah, there's a little portion where I was like, well, do I re-enlist when I got back from Afghanistan? Do I re-enlist? Which they were throwing like a big bonus at you. It's like, I think nowadays it's like $120K. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of money.
Yeah,
quite a bit. I spent a lot of money training us. They spend over millions of dollars like training us up. So like they want to keep you.
Yes.
So But I made the decision that I wanted to get out, and originally I wanted to stay in Washington because that's where I was at. I had a life there, you know what I mean. But then, it just made more sense to move home, and we have a lot of good gyms here in Massachusetts. So, I came home, and it's just now I didn't have to focus on trying to make money and being a professional fighter out there. If I lived in Washington, I would have to have a job and be a fighter, which is really hard to fight at the highest levels and do that. And especially with me, I had a
That was
lot.
impossible, probably.
Yeah, I had a lot of time to make up too. Like, even though I knew that I took 6 years and I spent in the military. So I'm coming up. I was like 27, 28 when I was getting out. So I knew I was younger than that. Shit, I was like 26 when I was getting out. Wow. I was 26 when I was getting out. And, I knew I had some time to make up if I wanted to fight in the UFC and stuff. So I needed to like put all my time. I couldn't be wasting my time doing other things. So that's what I did. I just decided to go all in and chase this MMA dream. So it's been going good.
I love it. So you were in Washington before.
Yeah.
Washington State.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then so you said, and you were able to come back here, and you were able to really chase the dream and really do it. And
yeah.
You got some fights.
So
won some fights.
So yeah, my first fight, I was fighting amateur when I was in Washington. I had like 3 amateur fights to kind of get me back into fighting, see everything. I fought for a title out there. I was sick. I was terrible. I shouldn't have done it, and I ended up getting knocked out. Learned my lesson for that one. I had the flu, and then I still fought, and I shouldn't have fought, but I ended up getting knocked out. I'm not looking for excuses. I really did. Like, I was so sick, I couldn't get out of bed, and I watched the Michael Jordan flu thing.
Yeah.
And it motivated me, and I was stupid. And I was like, Michael Jordan could do it. I could do it. I had this like stupid mindset in my head, like, you know what I mean? Like,
of course you were gonna try to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Like,
of course you were gonna try. This is the military guy. Come on.
Like, I'm not gonna quit. I had this,
the mindset is
all or nothing mentality when it came to fighting, and it's like there's no excuses. And that's what hurt me, is because I remember as in the second round, I was beating him up pretty good too. I was hitting him. And I was like, oh, my legs feel tired. My legs feel heavy. And when I was standing up, and then the next thing I knew, I woke up, and he just caught me with one punch and put me down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so anyways, yeah. So all that happened. I ended up coming home. I fought my first fight, my professional fight, Cage Titans. I won in 7 seconds. I had a 7-second knockout. That was pretty cool. And then I fought some other guys that weren't that good. I was kept on scheduling fights for a long time. Like, I have a guy scheduled that was okay, and then like something would happen where he would get like not show up, or something happened, so they'd fill it in, and I had to fight like these guys that weren't that good. So it kind of became a problem at one point where we were like I'm trying to make it to the UFC, but I'm not getting anything on my resume or my record to show that I deserve to be there. So finally I got my Contender Series shot, and I had a good fight for that, a good war, my 5th fight, and fought Francis Marshall. He's fighting tomorrow night. Actually. Okay. So it's pretty good. So shout out to Francis Marshall. The better he does, the better it looks for me. So I'm all about Francis Marshall.
Let's go, Francis.
I'm Team Francis all the day. No, so actually I went out after we fought each other. He's from New Jersey, so I was going down there for actually a Combat Control Association thing, and his gym was close by, so I went in and I trained with him when I was down. I was down there, and he was a man. Wicked nice kid, super humble. He's a freak athlete, man. This kid like runs marathons on like.
Oh, for real?
He's a little
younger, right?
He's younger. He's like 22, 23.
Yeah.
He's a good wrestler. He's been doing MMA since he's like 11.
Wow.
And he's just like he's just a savage. He was really good, nice kid. His coach Kurt Pellegrino was a UFC vet. He was really nice too. So they're super. So shout out to those guys. Good luck this weekend. Hope you guys crush it.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun.
Well, this will probably air afterwards, but the vibe's up there. Throw the energy up there. Yeah, Francis Marshall, baby, giddy up. He's gonna kick the shit out of him.
Absolutely. So yeah, so that Francis Marshall fight was my washback in MMA, I think.
That was your the one loss, the 6-1 so far. Okay.
Yeah, so that was my washback. So I think that he exposed. It's not that he exposed things that I definitely needed to work on. You know what I mean? So I made some changes up. I started training full time with the New England Cartel, which is like Calvin Cater, Rob Font, Tyson Chartier as the head coach. I've been sparring with those guys for a while. We have the same my Muay Thai, my striking coach, Jake Manini. He works with the Cartel, so I was kind of always in, half in training with them. But after that Francis Marshall, so I knew I needed to change something.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, with
Full
these
go.
guys, with these guys, I'm training with like guys who this is their life mission. You know, their life mission is to fight in the UFC. Like they're trying to become champs. They're trying to fight, so they take a different level of seriousness.
A lot of them have fought in the UFC and been successful.
Fighter, yeah, I'm the top 5. You know, Rob Font just fought. You know, he's number 5 in the world in the 135. Calvin's like number 6. He just came off a hurt. So like these guys are like, this is how they make their living. So, you know, training with them is a different kind of seriousness than training at like a gym with other people that this is not what all they do. So it's been amazing.
Surrounding people with like-minded goals, and like-minded focus. That's a giddy up.
It is absolutely. So it's been a grind. Like today, I mean, these practices are hard every single time, but it's I've gotten so much better, and I'm loving it, man. It's really been. Ever since I started working with them, my life has been so much better. I feel like it's going in the right direction. I just had my last fight. You know, obviously I've performed the best I've ever performed in any of my fights. I felt calm. I felt like I'm ready now for the UFC, and that's because you know all the war I went with Francis. It fixed the things I needed to fix, and now you know. You see, just like you don't know until you don't know. You know what I mean? And I know what I need to do now, and I'm ready. I'm ready for my next fight, and hopefully this summer, fighting on the Contender Series for Dana White's Contender Series once again this summer. So I'm ready to go now.
Fucking right, man. And you know we're Dr. BeeWell is behind you for sure.
Thank you.
Are you now? What about the Contender Series? You know that's the next step, and when will that begin? What does that look like?
So we haven't heard anything exactly yet. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be announcing it, but it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. But so they told me that, you know, I'm getting a Contender Series shot this summer. That last fight I had was Dana White's looking for a fight, so they're gonna air a episode of that on like YouTube, whatever it is, and where they'll have the whole week and everything. Who's gonna go to the Contender Series and all that. So yeah.
What a fight too, man.
Yeah.
Your last fight, it was amazing. I had learned about you, and I was like rooting for you because I was like, we're gonna, this guy's awesome, and we're gonna do a show together, and this is gonna be great. And then just like watching you, like I didn't get to go. I wish I got to go live, but I got to watch the video, and I just like I've watched it 1,000 times since. It's just like you said, it's you're zoned in and you're there.
Yeah, I felt that. I definitely felt it felt like no other fight I've ever had in my entire life. Like just like from like everything was just like was ready to go, and I just felt like everything was in the right mode. Like I just felt comfortable. That's the only way I could describe.
Yeah, you exuded that.
Yeah,
you exuded that. You can see it, just so comfortable. Like there's no worry in the world. This is where you're supposed to be doing exactly this.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Exactly how I felt. So it was good. I really enjoyed it, and now I got to replicate that again. So now it's back to the drawing. I don't want to ride on this high like, oh yeah, now I figured it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't figure it out. I still got lots to learn. I still got a lot of training, a lot of hard work to do. So, but I just feel like
experience in the Contender Series.
Exactly, and that helped me.
That'd be cool.
It helped me a lot. So, but I just feel like now, I'm ready for whatever life hands me. Like I said, like. Sometimes I used to be like very goal oriented, you know what I mean? About like getting to the UFC and all this shit. But now it's more like I know whatever life hands me, I'm going to learn, I take a lesson for it, good or bad. And this is what's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, if that makes sense, but I'm just going to go out there and just take it one step at a time and really try to do the best I can. If I just know I'm doing the best I can, I'm not upset with whatever happens.
Yeah, man, I love that so much. That's a inspiration, like, for everybody. Just like do the best you can. Things aren't always going to go great. Things aren't going to, sometimes they will go great, but it's really just about showing up consistently and, just being there and going through the work.
And that's when usually things end up going good, right? If you just show consistency in everything is the most important thing.
Yeah. And so what just because I've watched the show before, but like, what will the Contender Series look? Where do you have to go for that? What does it look like?
So Vegas, it's at the UFC Apex in Vegas. So What they do is it's every Tuesday night in the summer. They'll do I think they do like 10 weeks or 11 weeks or something like that. They have 5 fights a night, and so Dana White's there, obviously, and he's giving out contracts. So if you go out there and you do a good performance, so it's not about winning or losing, it's about your performance. So a lot of times, like, say 2 guys went the distance, but it was a boring fight, they're probably not getting a contract. But if you go out there and you show you have a really good performance, then you're going to get a contract. Even he's even giving contracts to guys who've lost, but they went out there and they showed a promising whatever. So yeah, so it's I'm going to be going out there. They haven't gave me a time or date, but sometime in the summer. It's going to be on a Tuesday night. It's on ESPN. So it's going to be good. So the night that I fought my last time, he gave out like 5 contracts that night, and it was like every fight was like a banger. Every fight was good. The week before I fought, he didn't give out. I don't think he gave out one maybe he gave out one contract. I think it was it. He gave out only one because only one person he thought deserved a contract, which is kind of crazy out of 5 fights. That's 10 fighters.
Yeah,
he gave out one. So right. So the next weekend he brought us in the room. It's kind of a cool story. He's never done this before. We were about to fight. It was right before the fights. He came in and he came in the room and he like brought us all in this one room and he's like you guys are here to make a statement, blah blah blah. He gave us like this big speech and everything. And he's like, go out there and show us why you deserve to be here. And like we did. We went out there and every dude went to war, especially me and Francis. We went to war. So or at least I went to war. Francis had a good fight, but so I think that even if because he praised my fight, he usually doesn't praise, guys that are losing and stuff, but he kind of did after the fight and he said some good stuff about me. So, that gave me the opportunity to fight on the Dana White's contender series, Dana White's looking for a fight too. So I showed him I could win. I showed him how I can perform. So now I think, this third time of fighting in front of him, I think like I said, I don't do things the first time. I learn the hard way always. So I'm ready to go this time.
Ready to go. Now, you won't know who you're fighting or anything until a little bit later on?
Probably not. Yeah, any day now, I could get a phone call, find out.
Cool. Well, definitely let us know because we'll promote it and we'll get it going because this likely won't air until probably right about then. Not the summer, but right around then. So be perfect.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. I love that. I love it. So so just back to training a little bit. So you're training for these fights. I know that this is obviously like a loaded question for any guy who does what you do, but can we talk about the diet a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So like I was telling you, in between fights, I kind of let my diet lax up a little bit. Enjoy some like desserts and stuff like that. But I'm not a big junk food eater. I'm not a big fast food. Like my whole entire life, I never ate fast food. My entire life.
Gross.
Yeah. My aunt told me, or aunt for people that are not told me.
Not from where we are.
We're from. My aunt told me she what's it called? There's worms in fast food, like in the meat. So that when I was a kid, so I always believed that. So I would never eat it my entire life, and I just don't like candy. I don't like sweet stuff. I just never really have. So unless if I'm gonna eat a dessert, it's gonna be like a cheesecake, something that's like worth my time.
Yeah, I love it.
What I mean? And
I gotta kick the candy, man. I do have a little of a sweet tooth with candy, and the chemicals that they put in that shit fucks me up, So it's like
I don't feel good when I eat that.
I don't eat. I feel like horrible. I feel horrible, but it pulls me a little bit sometimes.
Understand. I mean, my thing is like processed food. I hate. I just don't. That's where I don't mess with. If I look at something that looks processed, I try to stay away from. A lot of bread is processed in this country. A lot of like the bread you can get here. Like if I'm gonna get bread, I'll go get like artisan bread from like a bakery because I like bread, but I just don't like the enriched whatever white stuff, that bullshit we get at the grocery store.
Horrible, man. Yeah. So unhealthy, negative, just negative for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, and the more you eat out, I mean, restaurants are trying to save money, so you don't know what they're putting in their food, and it could taste amazing. And I do like restaurant food, but like you just don't know what they're putting in there. So when I'm focused and I'm just making my own food. Really, what it comes down to is it's a lot of rice, a lot of chicken. I try to buy all grass-fed and beef and proteins and vegetables, and just stay away from the sugary sweet stuff and processed food. Definitely no like ham or bologna or anything like that. Stay away from anything that is bad.
Do you eat the organic chicken, or does it?
Yeah, I buy organic.
Yeah. I think it does
for me. I'm always spending. I'll spend the extra money. I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? Like I don't trust anything from a grocery store. Like if I could have it my way, if I had the money and the time and the resources, I'd be freaking growing my own chicken.
And you will.
Doing it.
And you're gonna get there. Yeah. You're gonna have. That's the real way to do it, for sure, man. Especially with your profession and just like living off the land and that knowing where your meat is sourced from, and that's like it's so important, for sure.
Yeah.
Gonna bring it back to the communities that way. That's what I'm hoping will happen in the future.
I was listening to like Alexander Gustafsson. He lives in like Sweden or whatever. And he says when he comes to America, he plans to, like, he gains 10 pounds right away just from like the food they could see. He's eating the same stuff that he eats out there, but it's like our food. Like, yeah, if you've been to other places, I've been to Africa and I've been to like other places in the world, in Spain, and it, like, dude, their food tastes better than our food. And it is the reason why. It's because it's real food. It's not our crops have been over farmed, and our meat it was too many people, so we have to you can't have a crop go bad, you can't have chicken go bad, you can't have all this stuff, so they have to preserve those in some sort of way because we just have an overpopulation.
Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if we have the overpopulation, or if they're just telling us that,
or we're just set up, or they're either telling us that for corporations to keep making money, which is a very strong possibility, or I mean honestly is probably what it is. It's just that we don't.
We're so disconnected from it, you know?
That's the thing.
Yeah, we're so disconnected from it, you know? It's like the nature provides and is so bountiful, you know, then, you know, the rivers are always going to, replenish with salmon, and, you know, there's always going to be more deer and more buck and more, you know, there's ways, and more chicken, more eggs. It's always going to be there, you know, the flower, never mind gardening and stuff that we grow and farming. Like, we can do this. It's just,
imagine people went on hikes to go catch their salmon, you know, it'd be a win-win.
It'd be a win-win, man. Getting out in nature and you're getting some real food, like that would really be a giddy up.
Exactly. So it's like, but I mean, I love that stuff. Obviously, but as a fighter, I don't have the time to go hunting, and like my friends are always asking me to go hunt and stuff, fish. I like fishing. I like hunting. I like going out in nature, spending time in nature as much as possible. I'm always an extreme sports kind of guy, but yeah, I love that. If I could have it my way, I would have like a deer in my fridge. I'd go hunting. I'd do like, hopefully someday, you know, when I'm done fighting, I got time. I'm going to go hunting. I'm going to grow my own chickens, have my own eggs. I'm always trying to get it from my friends.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, there's the community, so you got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got hookups.
Yeah.
I got my friends hooking up. I'm like, set me up. So.
Love it. No, man, that's like the one thing I'll ask is, like, obviously you're avoiding sugars and you're avoiding a lot of this stuff, but like, what's the take on honey?
I love honey. I actually use honey all the time. One of my favorite breakfasts I have non-fat Greek yogurt in the morning, a fruit, and I put honey in there, and you know, I have honey on everything all the time. Peanut butter.
Yeah, hell yeah. Will you do this while you're training?
Yeah.
Okay.
Honey. I'll put it on everything. Yeah, I gotta sweeten it up a little bit. You know, I can't keep it too boring. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
and there's no better way to do it than the honey. You know.
And by the way, I love the
Dr. BeeWell honey, the toasty honey.
the THC honey. I mean, I like that, and I'm usually not a big, because I was like, I don't know how powerful this stuff is. It's not too bad. You put like a little teaspoon in there. I felt good. I felt really good. The thing with the edible, when I eat it, I always get I get the munchies, which is fine. So
yeah, it does. That is one thing that can happen, is you get the munchies, and you just got to have control over that and be focused, so you don't go overboard. It's a good time to, you know, you can enjoy food a little bit more, and that's cool. Like, increase sensory perception. That's neat. Let's have some fun here. But you don't want to go overboard where you feel like shit the next day and you ate stuff you didn't want to eat.
Exactly.
You just thought you were hungry.
Exactly. Yeah. There's that balance. That's the only thing with me with marijuana is that's it. When fight camp, I mean, I use marijuana all the time, you know, in fight camp. So, I smoke it usually, but which is probably not good. I stopped smoking it near the end, like my last 2 weeks, just to kind of let my lungs heal up and stuff.
But the recovery, is that what you use it for?
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like it's recovery. I've kind of smoked weed my whole life, off and on. Obviously not while I was in the military or anything like that, but I just
relax.
Helps you relax. Yeah. You know, it gives me a different perspective. It doesn't help me, it makes me scared, but it makes me scared for a good reason. That, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me worry about things I shouldn't be worried about. Sometimes I get in a focus mode, and I can just focus better. Like with jiu-jitsu and rolling and stuff like that, it puts me in like this nice little flow state when I'm rolling, where I'm just like enjoying it. Yeah, it's for me. It's
that's
like
a huge thing, right?
Yeah,
like people like you know, I that's what I'd like to start my journey on. I'd like to start doing jiu-jitsu, because from my understanding, jiu-jitsu is you're not actually engaging in combat versus one another. You're engaging in a mutual agreement that you're gonna. I'm working to protect myself so I can have the best possible self-defense for myself, and you do the same thing, and let's just have agreement and practice together. Yeah, and that's like what the foundation of it is.
For sure, absolutely, yeah.
I think that's so fucking beautiful.
Yeah, it's you know, you guys are working together, you know what I mean, and you're gonna learn defense, and he's gonna learn offense, but it's like Yeah, it's not. I think everybody looks at fighting like it's a very emotional. It's so unemotional for me. Like I don't know hatred for the person I'm fighting ever,
Cool.
ever,
That's
ever.
really cool.
Like yes, they're I'm that my seriousness and like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you but that comes more from because you're in between me and my goals and what I want to accomplish. But it has nothing to do with the personality. And obviously, there's gonna be guys that you're gonna fight. They're assholes. That
Yeah, right.
that like they made a little bit different. But
Playing the heel.
I don't even like to do that. I feel like because that's what's that feeling? That's that fight or flight feeling.
Yeah,
we're talking about.
sympathetic nervous system activation.
Yes, that starts taking over, and then if that's taken over, then you're not in the right spot. You're gonna get tired faster. You're gonna get you're letting the outside affect the goal and not what you need to get the job done. So I prefer. I don't care. I don't have any feeling towards the person I'm fighting. I just see you as an object that's in front of me that I'm gonna beat.
I love it. No, is that the? I would assume that that's not the standard. I would assume that
everybody's different. There's tons of fighters that need to hate the person, or guys will use mental warfare, like Conor McGregor, right? These guys like that.
Create the narrative, create all these creative narratives.
There's some guys will just. I know Joe Penafiel is a local guy at the party. He fights out of Cage Titans. He gets in his opponent's heads, like kind of like Conor McGregor type, but he also does it for himself. He's like, if I talk so much shit, I gotta back it up.
Yeah, right.
I gotta believe that I gotta back it up because I talk so much, so I gotta do it.
Right.
That's kind of an interesting perspective to way you speak, and I think it's kind of like speaking things into existence and stuff. But even him, like after he gets done fighting the individual, he's usually like the nicest guy. Everybody I know who's fought him, like after, is like, oh, he's actually a pretty cool guy.
Oh yeah.
But before the fight, you're like, this guy is the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. Like I cannot believe he's doing this. But then after the fight, and he's like, oh, it's over now, boom. So it's like, it's just mental warfare.
Right, mental warfare.
And I just try to not let that affect my fighting.
Yeah, I think you probably had an advantage, just because of the training that you've had in the military, and it's cool. Do you get like a big response from that community, from those guys?
I do. I get a lot of support. I think that's most of my support. Like I got like my followers on Instagram, but I think most of them like my cool guy I call them cool guy pictures, like a picture of me and like in my military uniform with the gun.
My cool guy pictures.
Yeah, the cool guy pictures. So, because like in the military, it's kind of like, you don't do that. I mean, like when I was in, like I did while I was in the military, before I got it, I didn't have my Instagram was on private. I couldn't post pictures of what I did. Not that I couldn't, like people know what I did, but it wasn't like you didn't want to post it. Like you do that, and the community's gonna look like, oh, you're just trying to do it for the attention. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a bad look, so you just don't do it. You can get in trouble for posting stuff that's like secret and stuff too as well. So you just try to avoid it. And so when I came back into the military, I knew I was fighting, and I started, posting, trying to get followers, because that's part of, like we talked about, as part of the sport. Is
building your brand up. Yeah.
And people love the military thing. You post a couple of pictures, a cool guy picture, you jumping out of a plane and the guns and all that stuff, and everybody kind of, that's where most of my followers came from. I'm just starting to get, I'm just starting to get the MMA guys that like me. They're like, oh, this guy can actually throw punches. He's not just a guy who's trying to like an operator who's gonna fight. So I think I'm starting.
There probably is a ton of that, right?
Yeah.
A ton of type A personalities, guys that just think they're the toughest in the world.
Yeah.
That like realistically they have some training, but not like their training is you submit them in 2 seconds.
Training. It doesn't matter. Like the guys. Like you learn a little bit of combatives in the military, but it's not nearly enough to like do anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like other jobs. Yeah. So
it's like a regular person walking around compared to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not
That's what's scary about this day and age now, man.
Yeah.
Like you're walking around, you just, you think you're this, you're that, you're out at a bar or whatever. It's like, seeing, someone sees you, sees someone else. It's like, you don't know, you say something to someone now, man, there's so many people who are, just doing it and, they're not at your level, but they're doing it for fun as a hobby. And they just do it. So many people can just kick the shit out of you. You're just going to be careful in this day and age.
Absolutely.
Way different than it used to be.
Look for the cauliflower ears, but that doesn't even help you all the time, because there's a boxer out there that doesn't have cauliflower ears and he can piece you up in 2 seconds. And you like you said, like the guys who come in the gym, like the best martial artists I know are usually nerds.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, they're so analytical thinking. They all like just like wicked nerdy people. They're always like the best ones and like the nicest guys. But yeah, you got to watch out this day and age what you say to people.
Yeah, well, just be respectful to people in general. But it's just funny that dynamic exists now, because there's so many people who are training MMA that weren't training MMA beforehand.
on the flip side of that, like for me, it's like, you know, even as a martial artist, like if I'm drinking and you're fighting, like half my skills go out the window. I learned that the hard way. Not the hard way. I actually never lost. Like got in a street fight, got beat up, but I was like, I did get it. One of my friends got jumped when we were in Washington. I was fighting, and I was still back to training, and I remember I was fighting like 6 guys, and I was like, my skills are not nearly as good as they usually are. Like I was so like, you know,
You could notice it.
Oh yeah, this is back. Military guys are getting in trouble a little bit, but yeah, we got jumped on that one, so it wasn't our fault. But anyways, yeah, there's one point in the thing where my friends are all like knocked out, and I'm sitting there just swinging at people, and I'm like, I was like not hitting anybody. I was like, wow, these skills do not transfer well to when you're drunk. I can tell you that. So.
Most skills don't transfer when you're drunk. Even like the one that people think transfers well, like talking and like socializing, like that one doesn't even transfer well. It just, you know, if other people are doing it with you, they think that it's good too.
That's all it is, man.
But yeah, booze is I'm not into it. You know, I think it's a poison, and it's just if it's fine, you want to use it and it's good. You like the taste, like giddy up. I understand, but it just, you know, it's not the best.
I certainly feel it the most. Like you knowing my body and stuff like that. If I drink, it affects me for weeks. I can feel it, and I feel like I could from when I'm performing at my best, I'll have like 1 day of drinking, and then that will like set me back. Like, all right, 3 days. Like I can still train and I can still go, but I'm not like there's something that's off. You know what I mean? Like I always feel the best when I'm not drinking. I go off and on. Like I was on vacation in Miami. Went out a couple of nights down there, but like mostly, you know, I think it's good too to blow off some steam every once in a while, because I've been like the Spartan lifestyle where I didn't drink for like 2 years, and I was like, I'm not drinking because I don't want to do anything that's bad for my body. And then I kind of had diminishing returns, I feel like, with like happiness in life and stuff. So I think it's
find a way to blow off steam. And if alcohol helps you do that a little bit and you can control it, that's when it's a giddy up. That's when it's actually a good thing.
Well, like consistent drinking, like binge drinking, like that, like I think it's the worst thing for it. I think it's like the worst.
Yeah,
worse than. Yep. And I don't understand in this world how like marijuana was illegal and alcohol is legal. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's zero sense.
Yeah, it was lobbying, and it was done on purpose, and hemp made a better rope than nylon. So they had to make all this bullshit. It's just
crazy.
It is crazy. And then too, just demonizing people in certain demographics, certain types of people. It's really bad how the cannabis versus alcohol has been. And people are. Cannabis is still only legal in 21 states, recreationally, and 37 medically. It's not even legal in all 50 states yet.
Yeah.
So it's so backwards. And like it's great that you have like professional athletes coming on here, telling us that that this stuff I actually use this well. I would never ever think about doing this while I was training for a fight. Never ever consider taking one sip of alcohol.
No, I don't. When I'm in fight camp, I'm not drinking.
Not
drinking at all. Dude, my weight goes up, my sleep gets messed up, my recovery is terrible, my inflammation goes off. As soon as I start, if I start drinking and I have an injury, it starts hurting right away. I can feel or injuries I didn't even know I had. I'm like, oh, where did that come from? I'm like, oh, it's because I'm drinking. It's like, it's crazy how bad that stuff's for you.
The inflammation just immediately goes there. Dude, it's so horrible. It really is.
So, yeah. That being said, I like to have a couple beers every once in a while.
Right, and that's what we're saying. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, definitely not. You only live once, guys. So you know what I mean. Oh, we all from what we know. So you don't know. You know what I mean. So
right, only once in this body.
Exactly. Maybe. Yeah, exactly. We don't know. We all don't know. So
right.
But yeah.
No, giddy up, man. I think that's so cool. So let's just like the one parallel between the military and UFC, what's the biggest thing? I know we've talked about discipline and focus and this, but I just like the military is like really cool, just of your background. And I guess I'm becoming an Air Force guy because next week we're actually having a SEER specialist on.
Oh yeah. I went to SEER school. That's funny. Yeah. I went to do actually two. I'll give you a funny story about SEER who's the SEER specialist?
Her name's Chini Plant.
Oh, it's female.
Female, yeah.
Really? Chini Plant. Is she still in or?
No, so not actively in. Nope. She's coming on the show. She just did Naked and Afraid on the Discovery Channel.
Awesome.
21 days in the South African bush.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's
Been there too. That's crazy that she did that. South Africa is wild.
South Africa's wild. I went
Yeah.
there, just as as like a tourist.
Me too. I was
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
My cousin married a South African guy, so
Oh, beautiful.
it was beautiful. I loved it. I was in Durban. I don't know where you went.
Yeah, I wanted to get to Durban. I didn't. That's the next trip. We went to Johannesburg, and then we went out to Kruger National Park, did a safari out there, got to see the bush.
Yeah.
And then we went to Cape Town.
Awesome.
But the food, man, the holy fucking shit. In another country, it makes you feel so good. Real food. Like
1,000%.
Oh, you
they're killing those chickens behind the place where you're eating it, man, and that's what it should be. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, I loved it there. I could definitely go back.
Yeah, gotta get back to South Africa. It's just amazing there.
Yeah, so there's it's surprising. There's not that many. There's not too many seer females or girls that make it through. So that's pretty cool that she made it through. But she probably could have been one of my instructors when I was there, and I got so. I'll give you a couple of stories. I remember and I was, so we had you could tell who the special operation candidates are when you go through SEER. So SEER training is one of our initial trainings to go through. Like you go through airborne school, you go through air traffic control school, and then you go to SEER school. It's like one of your first 3 schools that we go to, and they could kind of we'll go through and you go with normal pilots too. So people that are just normal pilots or air crew, anybody who's going to be possibly flying over enemy territory are going to be people that have to go to SEER school just in case they get it thing. So we had to go to those as well. So anyways, they could tell us that we're kind of cocky and assholes. We're all a bunch of special operations guys, and we're with the other people. So we get out, and one of the things we did is I just went to jump school. So the guys do this. So we're in this bus, we get captured, and we jump off the we get captured, and they're gonna bring you outside the bus, and they interrogate you and stuff. So they bring me outside, and I just jumped out of the bus, and I started acting like I was parachuting or whatever, just to be funny. And so they all right, you think you're a wise guy, blah blah blah. And by the way, I have a hood on this whole time, you know what I mean. I can't see anything that's going on. So they ripped the hood off, and there's a female. Actually, it was funny you say that. There's a female SEER instructor standing right in front of me, and I'm like. And I was she was she's very pretty. She's a really hot SEER, and I haven't seen a girl in a while. I felt or something like that. So I was said something about her eyes being really pretty, and then she goes, "Ivan, come over here," which is one of the other instructors. They call him Ivan. He came out and just started smacking you in the face. So
they've been through this drill before.
Oh yeah, they started smacking me, but I didn't mind because I was a fighter. I've been hit in the face a whole bunch of times. So but I like a lot of people. That's what they do. They do torture techniques and stuff on you. So that's funny. That's cool. Maybe it was her. Maybe that was a girl. I'm not sure what she looked.
Maybe it was her.
It was a while ago. So
yeah, she's so cool, and just to see her story and to reach out to her and say, hey, let's get this on the show. It's I think that's an amazing thing, being able to survival skills like that. For I've been in the bush, and I was catered to, and it was nice. It was nice. I was sitting in a little bungalow, sleeping.
When I was in South Africa, I was in a nice little, it was beautiful. We had all the best food, and it was good. It was sick.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. So now, just before we finish up here, I want to just find out where you're, where's Connor Matthews going to be in 3 years, in 5 years? What's the plan here, man?
So I'm hoping I get my UFC contract this year. You know what I mean? It's my goal. So I have that fight coming up this August, and see what happens. I mean, I'm not gonna give up if whatever way it goes. You know what I mean? I still believe in myself. I think I could fight the highest levels. I spar and train with those guys all the time. So that's my main goal. I'm also I might be becoming a firefighter pretty soon. So I'm on the list to be a firefighter. So I'm waiting for that training to happen as well. So I'm hoping they don't line up. Of course, that's how life goes. Everything gets thrown at you. I'm probably going to get my UFC shot and my firefighter school at the same week, because that's how life is. You know what I mean? But, it is whatever happens, and we'll figure it out from there. But my main goal right now is to get it to the UFC, and then from the UFC, I want to start climbing that ladder one fight at a time. Wherever it takes me, it's one fight at a time. I want to be the champ. I do think I can fight at that level. I really do. And but there's a lot of things that could happen in between then, with injuries and everything like that. So I just take everything one day at a time. But I know my ultimate is just to be the best possible of myself, the best version of myself I could possibly be. And my goal is to fight in the UFC and at 145 and be the champ. But
I love
One
it.
day at a time.
I
One
love
day at
it,
a
man.
time.
No, I just love it so much. I think that you've got a fan for me for life, for
Thank you.
sure. I'm gonna be rooting for you big time. Even probably get more into the MMA because of you. And it's like one thing I would like to do in my life. Is a cool thing. Actually, when I was in South Africa, I met this couple, and they were actually down there because they were there for something called a gentleman boxing match. And so it's like two guys from a bank, who just worked for a bank, had no fighting experience. We're going to fight each other, and they raise a ton of money, and, they get all their friends to come. And like, I think that that's the best idea ever. And so, yeah, so I want to do this. I want to fight, I want to fight somebody, and I want to find somebody to fight. I want to raise a shit ton of money for some cause and giddy it up. And, so I'm like, but I was like, definitely I can come down and roll with you guys on Sunday. And, you can teach me a little bit about it. And
Sure, but if you're gonna do a boxing fight, we gotta work some hands. We can't just be doing some jiu-jitsu.
well, no, that's what I'm trying to say is it was that's just how they did it. They
Yeah.
just did they just did the boxing. But
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'd do a full MMA fight. Like it's a lot more of a commitment, I think. But like, whatever.
We can get that organized. I'm sure we figure that out.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it, man.
I like that. I like that idea. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, charity fights and stuff like that. I did one when I was in the military. It's before I got back into MMA. I wasn't doing any training at the time. I actually went right from a jump school. I went to I fought this guy Billy Billingham.
Billy Bellingham.
Yeah, he's the most British guy. It was U.S. Special Forces against the Australia.
Cool.
About the English, the English guys. So this company called SoftRep, which is like a pretty big special operations like podcast and everything. They put it on. So, but like, yeah, so like somehow somebody reached out to me. He's like, hey, do you want to go over there and fight? So they flew me out there to England to box Billy Billingham. And Billy Billingham is like, he's like the Bear Grylls in England. Like he's got like, he's on TV. He's got millions of like followers. He was Angelina Jolie's bodyguard for a little while. What was that crisis that happened? Some big thing. He got like, he's knighted. He's knighted by the queen. He's like he's a big deal over there.
Billy Billingham.
Yeah, yeah, savage. I was like, 20, I don't know what I was, 23, 24. I boxed this guy. He was old. He was like 50 something. And I had like to this point, I wasn't really training like I am now. Like my martial arts experience came from before the military, and I didn't train in I did like off and on rolling for like 3 years. I wasn't really hitting the pads with my coach or anything like that. You know what I mean? I'd maybe hit the bag, but I wasn't really training. So I had a fight with him, and it was fun. It was the crowd, like there was just like celebrities there and stuff in England, and we had like this crazy after party, and I was just hanging out with like badass, like one of the guys I met was like let out the last bayonet charge and like, it was like some crazy thing. He was missing an eye. It was like all these like all the top war heroes from the British special operations over there, the SAS and the special book.
How'd you do in the fight?
I did good. Yeah. He was older, so we had it. It was kind of like an agreement. Like we're not gonna try to go out there and like,
Right.
like don't KO. I wasn't gonna go KO this guy because I hit him one time. And I was like, yeah. But he get on a good fight. It was like I would say like a hard sparring, like a really hard.
Awesome.
Like we were throwing hands, getting people. We were definitely the best fight on the card for the night. So I thought it was fun. It was a good time.
That's awesome, Billy Billingham.
Yeah, it was weird because that was like. That fight actually helped me with all the rest of my fights because we talked about that state, that mind state, that flow and being calm and relaxed. Like that fight, for some reason, was like the first time because there was nothing on the line. It was just like I'm not expected to do anything. Nobody knew. I was just a special operations man, like just a random guy fighting. He's not expected to do anything. We're just gonna go out there and but like it got me used to being like, oh, I can kind of like open up my mind and think. While I was in this boxing fight, because it wasn't too serious, and it had but it felt like a serious fight because there's all the crowd was all over me, all this stuff, and so then that kind of gave me like, oh, I missed. That was one of that fight. I was like, oh, I missed this. I want to fight in front of people like this again, and yeah, the rest is history. That's when I started training. Taking it more serious, yeah, and then going back into MMA, and yeah, I watched that fight a little while ago. I was like, wow, it was terrible. Like I got like 10 times better. I got like 30 times better since that fight. So
cool to objectively see that.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Go back, watch the film, and be like, "Oh, holy shit, man! I was definitely
bad.
I love that. So where can everyone find you? Or come and is it possible that people could come and train with you? Or
yeah, so anybody's in South Coast, Massachusetts. I live in Mattapoisett, which is right near New Bedford, Massachusetts. So if you guys are interested in the area, you want to check out, I have a basement gym. So I don't have a full real gym, but it's a basement gym, but it's a pretty sweet gym. We got like 3 or 4 professional fighters fighting out of there right now. I run general classes for like, right now it's been a lot of fighters, but like anybody can show up. Sundays, I open it up to everybody. So it's Sundays at noon. All we do is a mat fee. It's $15, and then that's it. And anybody can come roll, and it's like a lot of good guys. We hang out, like you said. We do ice baths after. We did grilling last week. We bust out the grills, cook some food. It's just like a kickback, So it's pretty fun. So welcome to come there. Social media, The Controller MMA is my Instagram. That's the thing I use the most. I need to start getting. I have a Twitter. It's Controller MMA, but I just never use it because I'm not a tweeter.
Not a tweeter.
not too much of a tweeter. So got Facebook, Connor Matthews. So yeah, I guess I got to get on this Discord thing. I just talked to my buddy on the way in here. I got to do that. That's what everybody does now. So
Discord.
I'm thinking about actually doing my own podcast eventually. So because I have a lot of connections within the fight community and the MMA and the special operations community. So I was talking to my buddy today. I'm thinking about starting my own thing. So it's cool seeing the studio and see the way you have everything set up, because I think I want to do something similar to this.
Well, yeah, I would love to help you in any way that we can, for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I'll definitely be asking. So
yeah, for sure. Just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you for your service to this country. Thank you for your demeanor and the way that you're pushing things forward and educating people and just existing as a human being, because I think that it's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Pleasure. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate having me on here, man. It means everything. So thank you very much. So
yeah, bro, for real. And like, I really hope that we can do this again, because we're at quite a bit of time here, and I have like so much more that I want to ask you, and there's just so much more we're gonna get into.
Maybe we'll do this. We'll do it. Can you do this on the road? Can you do a podcast on the road?
Yeah, we're working on that.
Maybe we could figure something out. We could do like a little Sunday, come do some jiu-jitsu podcast roll session thing.
Yes,
what I mean? And
100%.
And I can learn how to do this, and it'd be a little.
Yes.
We can share. I like it.
I love every bit of that. We're definitely going to make that happen.
Right.
Rolling with Dr. BeeWell.
I love it.
People won't know what it is. They're going to be thinking it's blunts or something or weed, and then they're going to show up and we're doing some jujitsu, baby.
Hey, there's some weeds and blunts that go on too.
Yeah,
along with
or both.
Yeah, we got the backdoor little patio, the basement patio out there too. So we stay high when we roll.
Stay high when we roll, baby. No, that's it. That's definitely what I've learned. I can't wait to be to become a part of that community with you. And thank you so much, man, for being on the show today. It really truly was a giddy up.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that giddy up. I like it.
Awesome. All right, thanks everybody. Check out Connor Matthews. He's gonna fucking crush it. Next up, the Contender Series. After that, the UFC.
Yes, sir.
Giddy up, baby. We'll see you guys later.
Let's go.